Hi, Year 8. This is week 5 again, and it's lesson 2 of this week's lessons, which are looking at un viaje estupendo, so an amazing journey. So that's your title as it was in the previous lesson, un viaje estupendo, and then write the date and underline it, please, in your exercise book. Okay, so we're just doing a couple of things today, but looking in depth at a text, which is all about an amazing journey. And we are again looking at vocab and grammar learnt this half term. So this is the first thing I'd like you to do, please. We're going straight into the main part of the lesson, which is to look at this text, and you can work on this however you like. You can either you can print the screen if you want to, you can take a picture of the screen and work on Sketch on your iPad. You can just look at it and then do the task, which is to find the preterite, the present, and the near future verbs, underline them or copy them down, and then translate them into English. So you will want them written down at some point. So I will, you're going to pause the video at this moment and work through the 3 paragraphs here. Now, the first thing here, we've got normalmente. So that's obviously going to have the present tenses in there. El mes pasado, last month, is going to have lots of preterite tenses. And this one, this spring, is looking forward. So that's going to be the future tenses. There may be 1 or 2 that have got into different parts of the text. So look carefully in all the paragraphs for all tenses. Okay, pause the video, do the work, and then restart it when you're ready. Okay. Okay, so I'm assuming you've now done the task, which has taken you a good 10 minutes, I would have thought, 10 to 12 minutes. And you're now resuming the video. So I put some color coding in here because it helps. We've got all the red verbs are the ones in the present tense. So most of those are in the top paragraph there. Voy, tomo, salgo, and so on. In the next paragraph, you've got the green verbs, which are the preterite tense ones. Fui, escuché, and so on. There's still a couple of present tenses in there. So hopefully you picked those up. And then in the bottom one, you've got mostly the blue ones, which are the near future. There's a blue one here as well, which hopefully you picked up. And the last one here is a different color, me gustaría ver. And that's, I would like to see, that's the conditional tense. So if you got that, then really well done. You've done excellently if you found that one as well. I'm going to move on to the next slide so you can see how I wrote them out. You may have them written in a grid like this, or you may just have the text that you've printed or copied and then highlighted the verbs. So present tense, 7 to get. Preterite, 4. I think actually there was another present one, then we had S, which was on here, so it's probably 8. And then the near future, you've got 6 of those. Some of them are repeated, so I haven't put more than one example of it. And then the last one is the conditional me gustaría ver, I would like to see. Okay, so that's the first task I wanted you to do. And hopefully you got all of those. If you didn't, then don't worry about it. Have a look at this. If there are ones that you've missed, then correct it in your red pen and go back and look at the text again and find them. Okay, when you're ready then, move on to the next task. And this task is a listening. You're going to be writing down what you hear on the sound file. It's people talking about where they normally go on holiday and where they went last year. Okay, now I think there's a typo in here because it says, it's giving you a hint here that normally for number 1 there are 5 things, but in fact it's only 4. It's that they went to England, went on excursions, visits monuments, and relaxes. That's what they normally do. But last year there were 7 things that they mentioned. So if you look up here, there's a lot of stuff to get. We've got normally, last year for each of them, and there are quite a few things. So I'm going to play the recording. I'm not going to pause it because you can do that just by pausing this video. But listen carefully and write down in English what you hear, the information you hear as you go through the listening. So here we go. I find this. There we go.
Página 51. Ejercicio 5. Escucha y escribe los datos de las vacaciones en inglés.
1.
¿A dónde vas de vacaciones generalmente?
A ver... Normalmente voy a Inglaterra de vacaciones.
¿Y qué haces normalmente?
Voy de excursión y visito monumentos. También descanso.
¿A dónde fuiste de vacaciones el año pasado?
El año pasado fui a Grecia, a la costa.
¿Con quién fuiste?
Fui con mi familia.
¿Cómo fuiste?
Fui en avión.
¿Qué hiciste?
Descansé, tomé el sol y jugué al voleibol en la playa.
¿Cómo fue?
Lo pasé bien.
2. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones generalmente?
Normalmente voy a Francia de vacaciones con mi madre. Voy en tren.
¿Qué haces normalmente?
Voy de compras o al salón recreativo. También tomo el sol en la playa.
¿Y a dónde fuiste de vacaciones el año pasado?
Pues el año pasado fui a Italia
¿Con quién fuiste?
con mi padre.
¿Cómo fuiste?
Fui en autocar. Fue horrible.
¿Qué hiciste?
Monté en bicicleta y visité monumentos.
¿Cómo fue?
Fue aburrido. Lo pasé mal, muy mal.
3.
¿A dónde vas de vacaciones generalmente?
Voy a Irlanda con mi familia.
¿Qué haces normalmente?
Juego al fútbol y monto en bicicleta con mi hermano.
¿Y a dónde fuiste de vacaciones el año pasado?
Fui a España.
¿Cómo fuiste?
Fui en tren.
¿Con quién fuiste?
Fui con mis amigos.
¿Qué hiciste?
Visité monumentos y tomé el sol.
¿Cómo fue?
Fue estupendo. Lo pasé genial.
Okay, so you listened to that and you may have had to listen to it several times. That's fine. There are a lot of bits of information here, so I'm going to show you what you could have got. So red pen out to see which ones you got. If you missed any, add them in, and then maybe you could have another listen to see why you missed them. Let me just go forward to the next thing. So normally he goes to, excuse me, I've got a terrible cold. He normally goes to England, goes on excursions, visits monuments and relaxes. Last year went to Greece with his family by plane, relaxed, sunbathed, played volleyball on the beach, had a good time. I think he said actually a la costa. So if any of you heard that and wrote down to the coast, then well done. That's really good. Second person normally goes to France with her mum by train, goes shopping, goes to the arcade and sunbathes on the beach. But last year went to Italy with her dad, went by train. It was awful, apparently. Rode her bike, visited monuments. It was boring and had a very bad time. And then the third person normally goes to Ireland with their family, plays football, goes on his bike with his brother. But last year he went to Spain by train with friends, visited monuments, and sunbathed. It was fantastic and had a brilliant time. So if you've got all of that information, there are around, I think there might be 36 bits of information, but anyway, there are around that number of bits of information. So with the amount of red pen you've had to add will give you an idea of how well you did. If there's more on the right hand side, maybe you need to revise your preterite tenses so you can identify those. Maybe it's vocabulary you didn't understand. Okay, so whatever you've got there will give you an idea of what you need to set as a target. Okay, now we're going to do something else with the same listening, which is to write down the verbs that you hear. So you can actually, if you want to, you can think, what verbs did I hear? I heard them say, where do you normally go on holiday? I normally go to England and I play football, I sunbathe, I go by plane. So have a think about what verbs you might hear. Just for a couple of minutes before you do the listening, write down what verbs you think you're going to hear on the present side. You're certainly going to hear voy and vas, because the first question is, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones? Where do you go on holiday? And the answer is always voy a Irlanda, voy a Inglaterra. So you're certainly going to hear boy, you're certainly going to hear vas. What other ones do you think you're going to hear? Can you think back to C? They talked about visits monuments, relaxes, goes by train, goes shopping. So lots of boy maybe, but other verbs like sunbathes. So I sunbathe would be there as well. On the preterite side, the questions were, where did you go? What did you do? And the answer was things like, I went, I rested, I sunbathed, I visited monuments. So see how many you can remember. And then listen to this again and write down as many verbs as you can on the present and the preterite side. Okay, so I'm going to play this now.
Página 51. Ejercicio 5.
Pause it if you need
Escucha
to.
y
so that you
escribe
can
los
hear all of
datos
it.
de las vacaciones en inglés.
1,
¿A dónde vas de vacaciones generalmente?
A ver... Normalmente voy a Inglaterra de vacaciones.
¿Y qué haces normalmente?
Voy de excursión y visito monumentos. También descanso.
¿A dónde fuiste de vacaciones el año pasado?
El año pasado fui a Grecia, a la costa.
¿Con quién fuiste?
Fui con mi familia.
¿Cómo fuiste?
Fui en avión.
¿Qué hiciste?
Descansé, tomé el sol y jugué al voleibol en la playa.
¿Cómo fue?
Lo pasé bien.
2,
¿A dónde vas de vacaciones generalmente?
Normalmente voy a Francia de vacaciones con mi madre. Voy en tren.
¿Qué haces normalmente?
Voy de compras o al salón recreativo. También tomo el sol en la playa.
¿Y a dónde fuiste de vacaciones el año pasado?
Pues el año pasado fui a Italia
¿Con quién fuiste?
con mi padre.
¿Cómo fuiste?
Fui en autocar. Fue horrible.
¿Qué hiciste?
Monté en bicicleta y visité monumentos.
¿Cómo fue?
Fue aburrido. Lo pasé mal, muy mal.
3,
¿A dónde vas de vacaciones generalmente?
Voy a Irlanda con mi familia.
¿Qué haces normalmente?
Juego al fútbol y monto en bicicleta con mi hermano.
¿Y a dónde fuiste de vacaciones el año pasado?
Fui a España.
¿Cómo fuiste?
Fui en tren.
¿Con quién fuiste?
Fui con mis amigos.
¿Qué hiciste?
Visité monumentos y tomé el sol.
¿Cómo fue?
Fue estupendo. Lo pasé genial.
Okay, so hopefully you managed to get quite a few of those verbs. We're going to correct that now. So here are the first set of verbs. Now these are going to repeat themselves in quite a few, aren't they? Because we've got where did you go, or where do you go, I go, what do you do, and then a couple of different ones here. The preterite, where did you go, I went, what did you do, and then all these things here. I rested, I sunbathed, descansé, tomé el sol, jugué al fútbol. ¿Cómo fue? What was it like? Lo pasé genial, or whatever it was. Okay, next one, we've got boy, or sorry, we've got vas, boy, haces again, and this is the verb that was, they said, tomo el sol. Preterite will have fuiste, fui again, fue, hiciste, que hiciste, monté, visité, lo pasé. Vas, boy, haces again, and here, juego and monto. Monto en bici, juego al fútbol. Fuiste, fui, hiciste again, visité, tomé, fue, and lo pasé. So you've got quite a few that are the same. So hopefully you're getting more used to identifying those. Now I know we've done lots of verb work in this lesson, but that's important because the next lesson you're going to do, we've been revising this vocabulary and grammar. And the next lesson you're going to do is the final lesson of this week, and you're going to produce your own presentation on your holidays, past, present, and future. And you need to be really confident with these verbs here. Okay, where you go, what you do. What we haven't included here are the future tense ones, but we saw those. I'm just going to go back in, where was it? I have to go all the way back now. Here are the near future ones. I'm going to go back. I'm not going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to see. I'm going to go shopping. It's going to be. So these lists of verbs here are going to be what you need to be really confident with in the, I'm just going to come out of this and go to the end again. This is what you need to be really confident with at the end of this lesson, so that for the third lesson this week, you can use all these confidently to make a presentation. Thank you very much indeed, Year 8. You've done some really good work this week, and I will see you in the third lesson. Thank you very much.